Harris Faulkner. This is the Fox Report. The first person to be diagnosed with Ebola in the United States is now fighting for his life. That word for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention spokespeople there. Thomas Duncan is at a hospital in Dallas, Texas, as you may know by now. His condition worsened this weekend, but now the CDC is saying, quote, they are hoping for his recovery, end quote. It's still not clear what his treatment has entailed, although reportedly he has not been receiving any of the experimental medications for the virus. Meanwhile, the hunt is on for anybody he came in contact with, and some 50 people are now being monitored for signs of infection. Doctors confirming Duncan tested positive for Ebola last Tuesday. He recently had traveled to the U.S. from Liberia. Officials keeping a close eye on some of his family members with whom he was visiting and sharing an apartment, and the healthcare workers who had very close contact with him. We remind you, there is no other Ebola case confirmed anywhere in America tonight. The CDC is confident the virus will be stopped in its tracks in Dallas, Texas. Still, the director, Tom Frieden, says this is a very serious matter, especially for healthcare workers.
Because it's such a deadly disease, people are scared, and it's normal to be scared. In fact, for the healthcare workers who are caring for people with Ebola, we want them to be scared. We want them to have a healthy respect of the risk of any lapse in infection control procedure. We want them to channel that fear into being incredibly meticulous about infection control.
Channeling fear from the CDC, we have Fox team coverage. Brian Yennis live in our New York City newsroom. First, though, let's go to Molly Henneberg, live with the news in Washington. And Molly, some lawmakers are saying the Obama administration needs to do more to prevent additional Ebola cases in the U.S. What are they proposing?
Harris, they want some kind of a travel ban to and from countries in Africa where there's an Ebola outbreak. One GOP lawmaker says it's just, quote, common sense.
The answer is not let people come and then try to isolate them once they're here. The answer is not to let people come in from infected regions into the United States. That's what it seems like to me, and most of the people I represent think that we should have some form of travel ban and restrictions to and from the infected area.
CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden says a total travel ban would prevent medical personnel and equipment from getting to the places that need it most. Congressman Poe says he would possibly support some allowances for medical personnel. Harris?
Well, okay, so you've got some push there for something to be done. Any word on what the president is going to do to implement any new safeguards to prevent Ebola cases in the United States?
The Obama administration says it's, quote, confident in its procedures in place to combat Ebola. And one senior advisor to the president says if there are flaws in the system, the administration will address those.
It's important people understand that this outbreak's been happening for 7 months in West Africa, and this is the first time someone has come to the United States. So we're prepared for this, but we'll always be evaluating. The president's focused on this every day.
Dr. Frieden says he expects there will be more reports of suspected Ebola cases in the U.S., but he says the American health system can monitor and isolate any such cases. Harris?
Molly, thank you very much. Now, the number of people with whom may have come in contact with the Ebola victim, Thomas Duncan, are now dwindling as the CDC has continued to nail down just who may be at high or low risk. Brian Yennis is following the story from our newsroom. And Brian, the CDC is adamant that this contact tracing is key in containing the virus.
Harris, they are very adamant about that. Texas health officials and the CDC have tracked down 114 people who may have come in contact with Thomas Duncan. 66 people have been cleared, but 38 are currently being monitored as low-risk individuals who may have come in contact with Duncan. 10 others are considered high risk and who have definitely come in contact with Duncan. Of those, 7 are healthcare workers and 3 are family or community contacts. All are being checked for fevers daily over the course of 21 days, but so far no one is showing any Ebola symptoms. Earlier today, Dallas police said they lost track of one of Duncan's potential low-risk contacts. Michael Lively, a homeless man, went missing after his temperature was taken yesterday. He has been found and put in housing to be monitored. As for Duncan, he remains in critical condition in isolation at the Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital, where he's been now for a week. The CDC says as far as they know, Duncan is not not receiving experimental treatment. One reason, the U.S. government has run out of the experimental drug ZMapp, which was used to treat 2 American missionaries who recovered from Ebola. Only enough was made for clinical trials. And the second experimental option available is difficult to use and can actually make someone sicker initially. Harris?
Yeah, you know what? You're watching social media and listening to people. And Brian, people obviously are on edge about this. And that's led to a lot of Ebola false alarms that we're learning about.
That's right. People have been talking about it. The CDC initially said that over the last week, they've had really over 100 cases of potential Ebola scares in the U.S. They're fielding about 800 calls and emails a day, but so far, no new infections have been found. Today, doctors in Boston say they're confident Dr. Rick Sakura does not have Ebola. Sakura was an American doctor who was treated and cured of Ebola in September after being infected with the virus in Liberia. He was admitted to the hospital yesterday and is being treated for an upper respiratory tract infection. Doctors have never heard of someone getting Ebola twice, but out of an abundance of caution, they sent his blood work to the CDC for confirmation. And Fox News has just confirmed, Harris, that a patient with Ebola-like symptoms checked into Bay Health Kent General Hospital in Dover, Delaware yesterday and is in isolation. We are working to confirm with the CDC. Harris?
All right, we'll work on that. Brian Yanis, thank you very much for bringing us the latest on this. Let's turn now to the fight against ISIS, which right now may be a losing one for Kurdish forces on the ground in northern Syria. We're getting new reports that ISIS fighters, many armed with American weapons, as you well know, like our tanks and everything left behind inside Iraq they now have, they've now pushed to the very edge of the northern city, Kobani. And it may be part of a new strategy to evade U.S.-led coalition airstrikes. That city sits right on the border with NATO ally Turkey. The city has been under siege for weeks, forcing more than 150